I think dating and the dating scene today is pretty complicated. And I think one of the things that makes it so complicated is this question of gender roles. What is generally accepted as okay versus generally accepted as not okay? And that used to be clear, but it's not really clear anymore. And if I'm just being honest, I kind of feel like it's a little bit harder for men to figure out what's okay versus women. Let me explain. For example, it's acceptable and generally acceptable for a woman to go and decide to be a modern woman and to get her career, get her education, get her money, get a house. It's okay for her to do that and then all of a sudden decide that she wants to be a stay-at-home traditional home and expect any man in her life to support that. And I mean, I've seen this, I've literally experienced this with friends that I have who own their own homes, who are, some of them in their 30s and 40s, been working their entire life, and we're having private conversations and they're dating and they're just like, yeah, like I hope he pays for everything. Or like, yeah, it'd be nice if he takes me out X, Y, and Z. So in one end, it's like they're really, living this modern lifestyle, but they're still wanting this guy to treat them, with chivalry and traditionally. And I've even seen this on like television. I mean, Married at First Sight. I somehow I got sucked into that show, and I was watching an episode the other day, and there's a strong independent black woman who had her own home and was really successful in her career, and she's complaining because she's just like, I just want a man who's on my level who can pay for everything. And I'm like, wait, huh? Like you probably make really good money, you own your own home. Why do you need a man to pay for everything so that you can be a stay-at-home wife? Like it's kind of like, oh, okay, so you're modern and traditional. Okay, you want to have it all. The challenge is, let's just say that's okay. Let's just say, okay, woman, you can be modern here, and then you can be traditional there. Let's just say that is the expectation, that is a standard. The challenge is that does not apply to men. I think if you had a man who's just like, okay, you know what, I'm not going to go to school. I'm not going to do this. I think I just want to be a stay-at-home dad. Maybe I want to go and I want to raise the kids. I want to try to, just clean the house. Like if the roles were reversed and men, instead of them being, the traditional providers, and they decided they wanted to be kind of like the stay at home, generally they probably would be seen as like a dusty. If he was like, okay, well, can you pay for everything? Or can you do this? Like, no, he would definitely be seen as a dusty if he was to kind of take what would maybe consider the more feminine role, right? And I also feel like, generally speaking, although there are some men who will openly say, like, yeah, I believe in 50-50. Men may say that, but you talk to a woman behind closed doors or even openly, and they'll be like, no, I'm not going to go with a guy who's not willing to pay. I just feel like they should know better. Like, chivalry should not be dead. And I definitely feel like that it's just not, there is not this consistent understanding that like, hey, women should be able to take on both roles. They should be able to take on the traditional and the modern role, and men should be able to do it too. I definitely feel like for men, the expectation is that you should still be able to provide no matter what goes on, and create a situation where your wife or your significant other can do whatever they want. They can be modern or they can be traditional. But no, you just pay the bills. You just be traditional and don't complain about it. And I kind of feel like that double standards exist. I really do. And that's not to say, people within their relationship, they get to choose and do whatever they want, and they should. But I think as far as at least how it's portrayed, what we see a lot of times, or at least what I've experienced in my life, I have seen that tension. I have seen modern women openly proclaim and be proud of their modern ways, and then in the exact same sentence say, but I want a man to pay for everything, or I want not to want to have to work. And I'm like, man, if I was a man, I think I would be really confused. I'd be like, what? Huh? Like, well, how do I treat you? Do I open the doors or do we split the check? Like, and I think for that reason alone, I'm like, yeah, I don't really know that this idea of equal gender roles, I don't think it's really applied equally, at least not in the dating space. And I'm not a man, but I'm not going to lie, when I kind of think about this dynamic, I kind of feel for them, and I'm like, man, it must be confusing. I think I would actually be confused. What's okay? What's not okay? And I don't know that we've actually figured that out. But what do you think? These are just my thoughts, but how do you feel? Do you feel like gender roles, is it equal? Do men and women have a fair shot? Or is it harder for one and easier for the other? Let me know what you think. Leave your questions, your comments, your feedback in the comment section below. And thank you so much for listening if you've gotten this far. Talk later.